For a Sonos owner, the Sonos App Redesign did not arrive as a headline about software. It arrived as the remote control. One day, the thing that turned rooms on and off, set alarms, searched a local music library, adjusted volume, built queues, and helped speakers find the network had changed. The speakers were still on shelves. The price paid for them had not changed. The promise had. That is the part that makes this story bigger than a bad app launch. Sonos sells premium home audio hardware. The product is not only a speaker, it is a group of speakers, rooms, services, alarms, libraries, and habits that are supposed to feel dependable after the purchase. A customer can build that system over years. One speaker becomes two become a living room, then a kitchen, then an alarm in the bedroom and a queue for dinner. The app sits in the middle of that system. It is how the customer reaches the hardware. So when Sonos rebuilt the app in May 2024, it was touching the part of the product that customers used every day. Official release notes say the May 7 update was version 80.0 for Android and iOS. The company described a full redesign, quicker access to content, a new message center, and a new web app. From a product planning view, that could sound reasonable. A modern app can support new devices, new services, and a cleaner future. But customers did not judge the launch from a product planning view. They judged it from the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room, and the routine that used to work before breakfast. Within days, the first story was not the new design. It was the missing control. Wired reported customer complaints about sleep timers, alarms, volume control, queues, Wi-Fi connectivity, local library search, streaming services, and accessibility. Those are not edge cases for a home audio system. They are the ordinary ways people prove to themselves that the product is still theirs. If an alarm fails, the app is not a screen. It is the morning routine. If queue editing goes missing, the app is not a menu. It is the party. If local library search is broken, the app is not a database view. It is years of music that suddenly feels harder to reach. The hardware may still play sound, but the customer feels the loss through control. That is the real pressure point. Sonos started repairing that pressure point quickly. The official release notes show alarms re-added on May 14th. A week later, they show improvements around voiceover, talkback, local music library playback, alarm search, product setup, registration, surround and sub-audio, true play, and local network permissions. On June 4th, the notes show sleep timer settings, play next, add to end of queue, setup reliability, battery behavior, local library connectivity, and more accessibility fixes. This repair cadence is important because it tells the story without exaggeration. You do not need to claim that every speaker stopped working. The repair list already shows the gap. The company was restoring and improving functions that customers treated as basic control. Every patch helped. Every patch also reminded people that the launch had moved before enough daily routines were protected. That is how an app update becomes a trust event. Trust in a premium product is quiet when it works. The customer does not think about the system. They tap, adjust, search, group, and leave the room. The whole reason to pay for a premium connected system is that the connection disappears into the routine. The 2024 Sonos App Redesign made that connection visible for the wrong reason. By late July, the company had to speak directly to the problem. The Verge reported that CEO Patrick Spence apologized to customers and said fixing the app had become the company's top priority. The reported roadmap ran through local library fixes, volume responsiveness, stability, error handling, alarm reliability, playlist and queue editing, settings, and other repairs. Look at that list carefully. It is not a list of bonus features. It is a map of confidence being rebuilt. The hidden cost of the redesign was not only support time, it was the feeling that a customer could lose reliable access to something already installed in the house. That matters because Sonos customers were not renting a one-month app experiment. They had bought physical devices. Some had bought many of them. The control surface changed after the money had already been spent. That is a different kind of product risk. With a phone app, a bad redesign can lose attention. With an installed home system, a bad redesign can make the owner question who really controls the product after purchase. The company faced a second problem at the same time. The app repair effort began to compete with the future product plan. In August 2024, The Verge reported that Sonos delayed two major product releases while focusing on the app. Spence also said, in that earnings context, that his push for speed had backfired. That phrasing matters. It turns the story from an outside complaint into an inside trade-off. Speed was supposed to help the company move forward. Instead, it forced the company to spend time getting back to stable ground. This is the part many software launches hide. A rushed foundation does not only create bugs, it creates debt on the company calendar. Engineers, support teams, product leaders, executives, and future launches all have to wait for the basic promise to be repaired. For Sonos, that promise was especially sensitive because the app was tied to the next phase of the company. The Ace headphones had launched. New products were waiting. A modern control platform could help Sonos expand beyond speakers. But customers were judging the platform through missing alarms and unreliable cues. That creates a brutal mismatch. The company is thinking about future categories. The customer is asking why the speaker in the kitchen feels harder to control. The investor is asking why a software repair effort is slowing the product calendar. All three questions run through the same app. The financial record adds another layer. Sonos's fiscal 2024 Form 10K reported revenue of about $1.518 billion, down from about $1.655 billion the year before. The filing attributed the decline primarily to softer demand across all regions because of market conditions and challenges from the recent app rollout, partially offset by Sonos Ace and favorable foreign exchange. That wording should be handled carefully. The filing does not say the app alone caused the annual decline. It names market conditions too. But the fact that app rollout challenges appear in the annual revenue explanation is enough for the breakpoint lesson. A control layer mistake had crossed from customer frustration into the company's official business story. That is the hidden cost. Not every product failure looks like a shutdown. Some failures look like a brand spending months restoring the ordinary things that made customers trust it. Some look like a premium company having to explain to investors why the control surface became a business issue. The Sonos app redesign sits in that category. It did not erase the brand. It did not make the speakers worthless. It did something more specific and more useful to study. It exposed how much of a hardware company's value can sit in software that customers only notice when it stops behaving like part of the furniture. After the apology, the repair work continued. Release notes through the summer and fall showed local music library setup, configuration, and search. They showed product setup stability, phone battery improvements, volume responsiveness, queue timing, local library browsing, group volume controls, clear queue support, playlist playback reliability, accessibility settings, queue management, and music library indexing. Again, each item is small on its own. Together, they form the shape of the failure. The redesign did not fail only because one screen looked different. It failed because the old app's boring reliability had been part of the product's contract with customers. That contract was never printed on the box. It lived in repetition. Every time an alarm worked, the contract got stronger. Every time a room grouped correctly, the contract got stronger. Every time a customer searched a local library and found the track, the contract got stronger. When enough of those moments broke or disappeared, customers did not need a legal theory. They felt the product change under their hands. That is why calls to return to the old app became so powerful. A rollback demand is rarely only nostalgia. In this case, it was a demand for the old control relationship. People were asking for the version that still felt like it belonged to them. Sonos did not ultimately build the story around going backward. Reporting in January 2025 said the company remained committed to the new app. The leadership story changed too. Patrick Spence stepped down and Tom Conrad became interim CEO. That leadership transition should not be treated as a single cause equation. public companies change leaders for many reasons. The careful statement is that the transition followed the app crisis, after months in which the app had become a public test of the company's focus. The sharper lesson is about control after purchase. Modern products do not stop changing when the customer buys them. Software keeps moving, services shift, app interfaces get rebuilt. Features can disappear, return, or behave differently. That can be good when the company earns trust through care. It can be damaging when the update reaches into daily control before the basics are safe. Sonos sold hardware that people placed in their homes. The app was the hand that reached those devices. When that hand became unreliable, the damage was not limited to the phone screen. The brand had to repair access. It had to repair routines. It had to repair confidence that future updates would respect the investment already sitting in the house. That is the real failure engine. Sonos treated the app like a modernization surface, while customers experienced it as ownership infrastructure. The difference is everything. A surface can be redesigned. Infrastructure has to carry weight. If the customer depends on it every morning, every dinner, every room change, every search, and every alarm, then shipping it early does not feel bold. It feels like the floor moved. The Sonos App Redesign is a warning for any company that sells durable products controlled by changing software. The more expensive and installed the hardware becomes, the less freedom the company has to treat the control layer like a normal app experiment. Customers can forgive bugs. They have a harder time forgiving the feeling that control of something they bought can be taken apart in an update. That is why this episode is not really about one redesign. It is about a product category where the most important part of the hardware may be the software customers trusted enough to stop noticing. When that trust breaks, fixing the code is only the first repair.